under decimal. And the little subheading under this decimal is dividing by a decimal. Up until this point, children, you have been dividing a decimal number. Let's say you have 1.6, and you have been dividing it by a whole number. There has not been a decimal in what we call the divisor. And the simple rule, when that was the case, was just to bring up that decimal and divide it out. 5 goes into 16 3 times. You get 15, and then you have to keep adding zeros until it works out. So you get 0.32. What is different about today is we are now going to figure out what to do if there happens to be a decimal in my divisor. Okay, and that changes things a little bit, so you have to be a little careful here. If you have this, the book gives this as a problem, 1.24 divided by 0.4. Okay, if we write this out as a division problem, where do the things go? What goes on the outside, what goes on the inside? Ronnie, what goes on the outside?
0.4.
The 0.4. On the inside goes the 1.24. Everyone, would you please stand? Are you writing this down, or is this just me? Because it seems like you're a little on the behind side of it. Now, here's what you must understand. Before, write this down, before you bring up the decimal, before you bring up the decimal, you need to, and then just write this down, put over. That is going to be your code words for what you need to do for that. Got that? Before you bring up the decimal, you need to over. What that means is this, children. We don't deal with decimals in our divisor. So what you're going to do is move it all the way to the right. In this case, it just moves one place. But if you do that, if you move this one over, you also must move the one under the division sign in the dividend. You must move that over the same amount of places. So this one also has to go over one place. And then once you've done that, then you can bring up the decimal and do the division problem. 4 goes into 12 3 times. Subtract. 4 goes into 4 once. The answer is 3.1. What you've really done is this. You know, this was the problem. If I write it out, I started out with 124 divided by 0.4. What you did when you moved it over and over is you just multiplied both of these by 10. And when you multiplied it by 10, that got rid of the decimal there. And when you multiplied it by this 10, you just moved it over a place. That's what changed it into that problem. But you don't have to show it like this. You're just going to simply show it by just moving over decimals. So even if there's a big one, here, take a look at this one. Let's say I have 1.8 divided by 0.003. Okay, 1.8 divided by 0.003. What happens when I write this out as a division problem? Which one goes where? Sam?
1.8 goes on the side.
Where?
The bottom.
Bottom. Where's the bottom? Either in the box or outside the box.
Outside.
1.8 goes outside the box. You are incorrect. It's this divided by this. They flip-flop places. The 0.003 goes here. The 1.8 goes here. Stop me there if you didn't catch that. So what is the rule? Before I bring up the decimal, what do I have to do? I need to move this decimal all the way to the right. Really, you're changing it so there's no decimal at all, because it's all the way there. So you have to go 1, to 3 places to put it right there, which means I have to do that with this as well. 1, 2, 3 places. Guess what happens in those little empty spots there? Zeros. And then what do I have to do? Bring up the decimal. Decimal ends up way over there, but I gotta bring it up. So now you can forget about all this stuff here, and it's just like 3 into 1,800. 3 goes into 18 6 times. And what happens here? I bring down a 0, have to add a 0, I bring down another 0, have to add another 0. I end up with 600 for my answer. 600 for my answer. Let me give you one. 0.24 divided by 0.8. 0.24 divided by 0.8. Go ahead and do that problem for me. Do that problem for me. Decimal on the thing, it's over, up. Well, should have been done, and then we ended up with, Charlie, what did you say?
23.
I don't know, let's check and see. Remember what happens, these flip-flop places, right? So the
Yeah,
0.8 should go here, and the 0.24 goes there. I need that 1, I move that 1, it comes straight up. 8 doesn't go into 2, but it does go into 24 3 times. Yeah? Perfect. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a problem. Take out just a scrap piece of paper or a blank piece of paper. Something you can write in because I'm going to ask you to give it to me. It can be very small. I don't care how big it is. I'm going to give you a problem here on the board. You're going to do it there with you at the desk. For every person that gets it right, I will take 1 problem off of tomorrow's homework assignment. For every person who gets it right.